Hi everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to talk about how to prepare for IELTS 2 weeks before the exam. I made this video for anyone who is preparing for the IELTS exam in 2 weeks. So you may have taken some course or done some preparation before. You may have done nothing and you just open this video, you have exams in 2 weeks or a very short time like that. So this video is useful for both kind of candidates. Let's talk about those who have done some preparation. So you've already have done some preparation, you have taken some classes, and now you want to make sure that you spend the final 2 weeks to the exam in the best way as possible. So the first thing you need to focus on are mock tests. So I know that you probably have taken a couple of mock tests before, but and you may have gotten different results. So in the final 2 weeks to the exam, you still need to do this, but on a less frequent basis. So you don't need to take a mock test every single day. All right. So I recommend that you take one or two complete mock tests. Our main goal is to maintain our sharpness for the day of the exam. Look, in these 2 weeks, there's not a lot of things you can do to learn something new. So you're not going to add anything to your knowledge or make a huge difference in your knowledge or your proficiency or your skills training. What you can do in these 2 weeks is to make sure you can perform your best on the day of the exam. A lot of people, they have the knowledge, they have the skills, but unfortunately, due to lack of practice, lack of mental and physical preparedness, they underperform on the day of the exam and they lose mark. And you see somebody who's very fluent, who has been working really hard, ending up with a very low score or lower than what they expected, which is something really, really common. I had a student who told me that they had slept only 2 hours before the night before the test. So this should not happen. You should be able to do your best, but we'll get to the day of the exam later. Let's talk about mock tests. Let's go back to mock tests. Plan 2 mock tests. Do them completely just like the real environment of the exam. And you can use the very latest versions of Cambridge IELTS tests. They come with numbers, 19, 20. 21 in the future, and you can take those tests to make sure where you are standing. Remember, we're not trying to find out what is our weakness, what is our strength. No, just 2 weeks is left before the test. We want to make sure we can do what we are already capable of in the best way on the day of the exam. So just 2 mock tests. Plan it one for today, first of these 2 weeks, let's say, and then plan one at the beginning of next week. Do not plan any tests 2 or 3 days before the test, because it's just gonna stress you down and it's just gonna mentally make you tired. There's no need for that, remember. So this is about mock tests. Do not do a lot of random practice tests like we used to do when we were in university. It's not like that. It's not gonna really help you much. Revision is highly recommended. So let's talk about revision. Revision is different from practice tests, so it's highly recommended. Okay, revision. What do I mean by revision? These 2 weeks is a nice time for you to go back to your previous mock test, previous things that you learned, notes from your classes, and review them and find out the things that your teacher, your tutors have given you some feedback on, and then you made some mistakes, and then things that you had problems with and you were struggling with. Now it's time for you to sort of revise them. So dedicate these 2 weeks to revision, not doing a lot of new tests and practice tests and make yourself tired and stressful. So remember, practice is key, but it's not going to help you. Over practicing, overdoing tests is not going to help you. It's not going to leave any positive impacts on your performance on the day of the exam. Now, this brings us to practice. So, other than mock tests, what other practice are recommended? What I recommend to people is that during these 2 weeks, if you have extra time, which I highly recommend, so I usually recommend people to kind of leave some time, if they can take some time off from their work, if they can make sure that their exam is in a time that it's kind of their during their leaves or during summer holidays or somewhere that they have a little bit of free time, a couple of days before the test. If you are in that category and you have a lot of time, I highly recommend that you consider practicing writing and speaking, especially with a partner, both of them. So I'm sure you have a partner, you have a classmate, you have somebody who is at your level and is preparing at the same time. Or you can comment under this video, and then I'm sure somebody at your level, you can introduce yourself, mention your level, and somebody will react, and you probably can find a partner online. So what you need to do is find a partner, somebody who's preparing for IELTS, and then both of you can practice together. You can exchange your writings and give each other feedback, and then practice regularly. Like, for example, it's you and your partner, you say, okay, let's do one writing every day. Report, essay, report, essay, report, essay. And it's not about, again, improving anything or learning something new. No, it's just about making sure we can do what we know and we are capable of best. Other than writing, of course, you can also practice speaking, especially with a partner. You guys can simulate the exam environment. One of you can become an examiner, one of you can become the candidate, and then you can simulate. There are billions of videos on YouTube you can watch to see how this goes, and then you can simulate that situation. Remember, once again, in these 2 weeks, our goal is to prepare you for the day, not prepare you for the exam. Okay, you have done a lot of preparation, taken classes and everything before these 2 weeks. So to be honest with you, you cannot change much, but you can make sure that you sustain and you keep what you already have and do your best on the day of the test. So we talked about mock tests, we talked about revision and practice. Now let's talk about exam days. So exam day is very important. All right. There are a lot of instructions. The exam centers usually send you an email with some instructions, but I'm gonna walk you through a couple of things that are very important. First of all, make sure you know where your center is. If it's in another city, if it's in another country, I know a lot of my students in Russia, they have to travel to another country to take the test. So just make sure that you arrive in that destination 2-3 days earlier so that you can go see the place, the directions. I had this experience once. I arrived at my exam just 10 minutes before the exam was about to start, and then it was a very chaotic situation. I was very close to losing my opportunity to take that test. That test was a different story. It was not IELTS. So for IELTS, they're very serious. Make sure that anytime that they tell you to be there, the center will send you an email. Try to be there half an hour, even earlier, so that you can go there, get comfortable, get settled. Make sure that there's nothing to stress you any further. We don't want extra attention. The enemy of your performance on the day of the exam is lack of focus, and lack of focus comes from stress mainly. So arrive there as early as possible. Try to talk to people, get comfortable, get settled. Different people have different routines. Some people have these kind of breathing practices. Some people listen to music. Some people, I don't know, drink a cup of coffee. These things will make them get settled and get relaxed before the exam. The second thing, remember, exam centers will provide you with everything, so you don't need to take paper, I don't know, pen, stuff like that. You're not allowed to take anything with you, just your passport and a bottle of water that has no label around it. So remember not to take any stuff with you there, because again, they usually provide you with a place to kind of lock in your stuff before the exam, but you don't want to get into any stress there either. So try to just travel very light. Just go there. Your probably phone and wallet, you have to put it in a locker and then walk into the exam room. Make sure that your passport is exactly the same passport that you signed up for. If you bring the same ID. Some countries, they have a secondary weird thing. They call it a passport, and this might not be the password that you signed up with, so it may be a little bit different. So make sure your ID is exactly the same that you took it. If you are under 18 years old, make sure that you have filled that parent confirmation form and have it with you when you arrive there. Our goal is to make sure that you do your best and you have the least minimum possible amount of stress. Finally, remember that all of these mock tests, revisions, and practice, all of the things that we talked about should not be done on the last 2 days before the test. These 2 days are for you to relax, get good sleep, get comfortable, make sure that you have your, identification and everything, and you're ready to just physically and mentally, you're in a very nice shape, nice place to be when you are going there to take your exam. The only thing that's allowed as in the last 2 days is just a speaking practice, because speaking is a very dynamic skill and then you need to maintain it on a regular basis. So speaking would be the only thing that I recommend in the last 2 days, but nothing else. Remember, you are not going to add anything other than stress to yourself. So do not go for a lot of studies or practices, or these multitude of tests and questions. So in summary, our goal in these 2 days is to make sure that you do your best, and our goal is not to learn something new or add something to that. So here's the plan for people who have done some preparation, have taken some classes, and they have only 2 weeks left to their exam. Now, what about people who have no preparation in advance? So this is a little bit tricky. You have probably lost a lot of time and made a very strange decision to take the IELTS exam without any preparation, but it's not the end of the world. There are many things you can do. There's still 2 weeks left. The first thing I recommend that you guys do is to get in touch with a teacher. A teacher can help you. Probably you may need to take some classes, probably some one-to-one, a few sessions one-to-one with an expert teacher. You can reach out to me, and if I have time, I will help you out with that. They call me the emergency teacher. They usually, schools that I work for, they send these students to me that they have like a few days or a few weeks to their exam. So you can reach out to me and I will help you out. Or most likely, what I'm trying to say is you need a tutor for these 2 weeks to kind of really to accompany you, to kind of walk by your side in these 2 weeks and make sure that you get the best out of your time. But what you can do if you have no access to a teacher is to get a mock test done as quickly as possible. Share your results with ChatGPT with as many details as you can, or any AI that you use, Perplexity and others. Get a plan, get a study plan based on your weak points. Okay, do not get a generic plan. Do not watch a YouTube video with a generic plan. No, everybody has a different situation. Everybody has a different story. Get that mock test done today, and share your results with ChatGPT, and also, or with a tutor if you have access to it, or you can share them with me in the comments, for example. And then I will tell you what you can do in these 2 weeks. You need to really, really build up on your strength. So, for example, if your speaking is really good, you make sure that you have like a few more small practices to improve, to keep that strength. And then if you are struggling with a section, most probably reading or writing, you can get some quick knowledge, quick exercise, quick shortcuts to make sure that on the day of the exam you do your best. So get that mock test done and plan more, at least 3 more in the next 2 weeks. Again, our goal is not to get a high score or whatever, but to make sure that we are familiar with the nature of the test as much as possible, so you don't have any surprises on the day of the exam. So, but again, back to square one, I highly recommend that you discuss this with the teacher, with the tutor, to help you if you have done no preparation and you have the exam in 2 weeks. Again, it may sound strange, but it has happened to a lot of people, and I've had a lot of students like this, that they just decided that, oh, oops, I need my IELTS in 2 weeks and I need to submit it to this college, to that university. And what am I going to do? So if you have not done anything, reach out to a teacher and then do a couple of mock tests and work on your strength and action points. Or you can just simply reach out to me for more help. But remember, I need the result of that mock test. So send me that mock test and then we'll talk about the rest. Okay, everybody, thank you very much for checking this video out. I hope that you get the best result in your IELTS exam. Remember, IELTS is a skill-based test, so you need a lot of preparation, you need a lot of practice. So if you're planning to do this test more than 2 weeks, make sure you consider that. If you have any questions about any exams related to English, make sure you drop your questions in the comment section. I will also do a free analysis for people. So if you have done any mock test recently, you can share your results with me and I'll tell you what to do based on your results of the test. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe and share these videos with people who are preparing for IELTS or other tests. And I wish you a great evening and I'll see you in the next video.